Hey guys, this is Me700. Today I'm making a video talking about finding certain Pokemon plush at thrift stores, flea markets, yard sales, antique malls, just any general secondhand type store. I originally was going to do this on my website as a blog, but it's just so much to explain. I figured making a video would be a little bit easier. Pardon the lighting. I wish I could have my collection in the background, but the way my room is, it's just next to impossible to have my collection in the background, so here's some Toy Factory Pikachus and my flats and some other random stuff. Alright, right here I have a Japanese release Jirachi Polka Doll and I think this is American release Mudkip Polka Doll. He's Vabola and she's Minky. I found both of these guys at a Goodwill in Virginia, which is where I live, and I'm really big with Goodwill shopping. I go to several times a week, not only looking for Pokemon plush, but for clothes and stuff I can sell on eBay to make a profit off of. One lucky day, I found these guys in a bag of other plush, and I ended up spending around $30 on plush just to get those two, along with a Weasel UFO plush, a Bam Presto Mime Jr., like, fuzzy, small one, and then I had a ton of Jackson Hasbro's plush in that bag. So I probably have, I'm looking at it, I'll call it 25, 30 plush that are Jax or Hasbro, that are not Pokemon Center plush or Poké Dolls. And I've gotten pretty much 99% of them I bought either at a yard sale, a flea market, or a thrift store. And, you know, I've been collecting for 5 years now, and as much as I yard sale and thrift and flea and antique, I have only found 2 Poké Dolls. 2! As opposed to I've probably found at least 50 or 60 Jax and Hasbro plushies, which I have sold a lot of them because either I didn't like them or I had duplicates of them. So I'm basically going to explain the probability of finding certain plush at these secondhand shops. First off, I'm going to explain why I thought my Japanese release Jirachi Polka Doll was a bootleg when I got them at Goodwill. Alright, so since this is a Japanese release, this obviously was not sold in America, which means that there would be almost next to zero chance of ever finding a Japanese release plush in a Goodwill. Unless someone had gone to Japan for whatever reason, picked up this girl, and decided they weren't interested in it years later. Can't remember what year, this is 2009. So, and obviously, if a collector had bought this Jirachi online, why would they have donated it to a Goodwill when they specifically bought it for their collection? And they know that it has a value, unlike whoever bought it in Japan. So that was my biggest reasoning for thinking it was bootleg, because it's just extremely unlikely that you would ever find anything Japanese here in America at a second-hand shop. Because if a collector were to buy something offline, they would not donate it or sell it at a flea market or yard sale or whatever. Does that make sense? So I have no idea how this Jirachi made it, but it was in the small percentage of however she got here, ended up at a Goodwill, along with the Weasel UFO, which I thought was bizarre to find a UFO at a Goodwill. So that's number one thing I wanted to talk about, the unlikeliness of ever finding a Japanese Poké Doll or Pokemon Center plush at a secondhand shop. Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out is how Poké Dolls were only sold in 3 places, I think 3 places in the United States, and that was the Pokemon Center in New York / Nintendo World, Epcot in Disney World, Florida, and then most recently, the Washington kiosk. I believe it's in Seattle. I think they started doing that a few years ago. They never had anything that was, you know, more on the rarer side. So to find an American release Pokédoll is more likely to happen because of those who made a trip to Nintendo World, who made a trip to Epcot when they were, younger, like, oh, Pokemon Plush, let's buy some, they buy some for their souvenir on their trip. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, they find them sitting in their closet. Hey, I don't play with these anymore, I'm not into Pokemon anymore, let's donate them, let's, give them, sell them at this yard sale, what have you. Which adds to the odds of finding a Pokédoll, at a thrift store, yard sale, or whatever. But because there was only 3 locations that Pokédolls were sold at, it's just extremely rare for this to happen, unlike Jax and Hasbro plush, which were sold at, every single Target, every single Walmart, every single Kmart, wherever they were sold, where people, commonly go to on a weekly basis or whatever, wherever they live. They don't have to go anywhere to get them. They were where they live in their hometown. So that's why you will more likely find a Jax or Hasbro plush than any sort of Pokédoll. And I have reason to believe that New York City thrift stores, or all of New York State, maybe New Jersey, the surrounding states of New York, any of those secondhand shops, you're more likely to find a rare Pokédoll there because, maybe someone took a quick road trip to New York City, to Nintendo World, bought some Pokédolls or whatever, had them sitting in their closet, as I explained, because there's people in New York that are more likely to drive to New York City as opposed to someone that flew to New York City on vacation one time, flew back to whatever state they were with their Pokédolls, donate them in Wisconsin or wherever they are. Does that make sense? I have a really hard time explaining this, but this is just like the logic I've been thinking of as a thrifter and a Pokemon collector. You just gotta think of it as location. If you find a Pokédoll at a thrift store, you gotta think, is it American release? Is it Japanese release? Is there a chance this would be bootlegged? I can tell you that there is a lesser chance you would find a bootleg at a thrift store because you can only buy, well, I don't want to say you can only buy, but people want to buy bootlegs online, and if you're buying it online, chances are you want it, so you're not gonna donate it. Sorry, I'm out of breath from talking. So if you find a bootleg that's pretty recent as opposed to a Pokédoll that someone's been having sitting in their closet since 2006 or whatever, whenever they got it, does that make sense? I'm really bad at explaining this concept. That's why I didn't make a blog about it. But I just wanted to kind of explain that there is a chance you can find a Pokédoll at a thrift store. It's just very, very low. This goes for any other Pokemon Center plush. I know one day someone will find a giant at a thrift store. A Tomy giant. I remember there was one post on Pokemon Collector to someone that found 2 giants at a yard sale along with a ton of Pokédolls. Literally, that's just such a low chance, but it can happen. Someone went to New York maybe a handful of times. Maybe a dad on a business trip picked up his son some Pokédolls on multiple occasions, sat in his closet, yada yada. And also, this just occurred to me that, Pokemon Center did sell online, and I think they stopped in 2007 or something, I don't remember the exact year. But I'm sure there's lots of people that did order Pokédolls or whatever from Pokemon Center New York. Had them for a while, donated them, whatever. So, that's my video. So the overall thing is, you're going to find a ton of Jax and Hasbro if you're a secondhand shopper. You can find a Pokédoll, it's just extremely unlikely that you're going to find a Pokédoll, especially a Japanese release. Excuse me. So, yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry if that didn't make sense. Feel free to ask questions. This is just the logic I've been thinking, yada yada. Alright. So, Look forward to more videos. Hopefully I'll post some. Alright, bye guys.